In late June 1946, a pig, bearing the number 311, was stationed on an old warship off Bikini Atoll in the Marshall Islands. He was one of a group of 6,000 test animals deployed on and around the atoll to test the effects of nuclear radiation on living organisms. 2 bombs were exploded. After the last, as soon as it became safe, search parties entered the target area to assess the damage. All the other animals were either dead or dying, but a thorough examination revealed Pig 311 miraculously unharmed. He lived for a long time and procreated in a completely normal manner.
And in my opinion, all time has been bisected into pre-atomic and atomic eras. The lesson for humanity is that it must avoid the use of nuclear weapons in war, because to do so will be to unleash the supreme pollutant, radioactive fallout, on soil for which we depend for our livelihood. An attack, for example, upon our Minuteman bases west of the Mississippi by the mighty Soviet SS-9 warheads, if it were in sufficient power to clobber these bases, could rain down a minimum of 5,000 megatons, 5 billion tons of TNT equivalent, of which fallout would constitute enough to coat 4 million square miles. It wouldn't coat the United States uniformly. It would be an overlapping pattern stretching, depending upon winds, from Missouri, Montana, South Dakota, and North Dakota, stretching over the Great Lakes, stretching through the heartland of America, and on up to the Northeast.
We only want to eliminate all this eyesore here because we have rodents, children set fire in these buildings, and we fear for our lives. Because if one of these houses would go up, the whole block would go up. We only want them to be thrown down. That's all we ask, so we could live right.
Thank you, Miss Wood. You know, Joe, it's the truth, though. You know, we got this condition here. No. Well, look at them. Look at it. They're all dilapidated, deteriorating. Right, Harry? What do you think?
Well, I think these communities should get together and try to get all these homes knocked down.
Sure, look. Here's Mabel. Hi, May. How are you? How you doing?
Have anything to say about
May?
Well, yes, because I don't like to look out my front door and see those beautiful sights across the street there. It looks like I live on Skid Row over here. And I feel like a cop over here. I chase teenagers away from over there that sit out there and smoke. They tell you to mind your own business, and you don't own this property. Who are you to chase me? And yeah, you fight and everything else around here, just over these houses.
Well, we're getting something done now. You can count on it. That's the truth. We will.
At the moment, the planet is cooling off because we have put so much crud into the atmosphere. The warming trend that the CO2 addition caused up till 1940 has been overpowered. The turbidity of the atmosphere over the Central Pacific has increased 30% in the last decade. According to Reed Bryson, the meteorologist at the University of Wisconsin, who is tracking this most closely, we are beginning to revert to a weather pattern in this country which we saw in the early 1800s. If we do that, our agricultural productivity will suffer a great deal because agriculture is tremendously dependent on the weather.
You know, the paint they used had lead in them, but they say now the paint, they have this lead-free paint. You know, get off the arm of the chair. They have the lead-free paint. And I don't know, they came out here a couple of months ago and they burned the paint off the wood. And they were supposed to come back and fix, you know, repaint it, scrape it, I think, and repaint it, which they never did. And plus, right in my back bedroom, when it rains, it just pours from the ceiling. And it's a lot of things that yet, you know, is still wrong with the house. And I don't know. It's just, I can't say anymore. I didn't call the real estate. Sometimes they get a little nasty with me and everything. And like my rent right now is like a month behind. And I know they're ready to put me in constable and whatnot. But like I am trying to do the best I can, you know. And I don't know, just like I hope probably one day I wouldn't have to worry about any of this here. I hope probably one day if Mr. Reed and I, you know, should get married, we won't have to worry about unfit places. Maybe he can get a decent job. I could work because I love doing hair. And I want to be a model. You might not believe it, but I would like to be a model. And probably one day he'd be able to, you know, get a trade. And then I can open up a beauty parlor. And then at part-time I can model. And maybe we can get everything together, you know.
Now, all the people in the so-called underdeveloped countries have rising expectations. They know what we have. They would like to live the kind of life that we lead. They want to be industrialized. The smallest bit of simple arithmetic will show you that although they have rising expectations, they also have plummeting prospects. Our standard of living will continue to decline. Theirs will decline faster. The gap between the rich nations and the poor nations will continue to grow as it has continually since the Second World War.
Okay, so we're talking about the United States. See, that's the reason why you're just looking at one point. Yeah, but you're trying to push the question away. You're the whole world. Vietnam. But I don't live in the whole world. I live right here. Well, I'm trying to better myself. We want to change it here. Or in England, I don't. You know what? Look, I believe in brotherhood, but there comes a time where you got to think of yourself. I mean, no man sounds selfish, bro. All right, it's a whole. You got to get together. Everybody's got to come together. There's no certain age where it says you've got. Well, now what he said is now, well, what are yous going to do? It's not yous and it's not you. It's us, man. Not just because you're over a certain age or I'm under a certain age. That don't make you better than you. That don't make you better than me. In other words, don't say, what are yous going to do? It's what are we all, as in general, going to do. Don't say this you, me, I, it, this, that, bullshit.
But they're all tied up in knots because they know that singly you can't do anything anymore. I mean, we're disinherited as far as our liberties go. Unless we form a mob and break windows, nobody pays attention to us. And breaking windows never really accomplishes anything. So we feel stymied in every possible direction. We can only do it through our antiquated legislatures. I think it's a worldwide dilemma already, right? About the DDT, for instance, that they even know enough now to know it's got to be banned. They give us a 2-year leeway to be sure it does its worst. But one of their dilemmas is that the Orient will think that we've taken it away from them to be mean because we sold it to them as a way to get rid of insects and have better crops. So they'll never believe us that we're taken away because we discovered we made a god-awful mistake. Nobody believes the truth anymore. They just believe the propaganda.
It seems that if you think a certain way, you get a certain kind of world. Our way of thinking has 2 cornerstones. The first is our purposive consciousness, defining and achieving goals, drawing boundaries, isolating problems, making distinctions. This creates a world of fragments. The second is our scarcity thinking, convincing us that there is never enough of anything to go around, that we must nevertheless get the most we can, compete for what there is, and that survival or success depends upon individual supremacy. These two combined give us a state of war, a never-ending struggle for superiority between the fragments we have created, be they nations, corporations, families, individuals, or parts of individuals. But perhaps more fundamental still is the idea that this fragmented picture corresponds to the natural world, and that no other is possible. This threatens to consign us permanently to our present condition.
Like the history of our consumption is, where I live up in New York State, was a giant hemlock forest in the early 19th century. New York City sucked up all those trees to make charcoal for heating New York, and the bark was used for tanning. As a result, there's nothing but fifth growth little shrub trees now, and some pines, and a few old maples and oaks. But the giant hemlocks have disappeared. All that to feed the city, the comfort, the creature comfort of the city, that is, you know, charcoal for burning wood and charcoal for heating. And simultaneously, as the trees were cut down, so all the animals were trapped and killed for their skins, and then the barks of the trees were used to tan the skins. So that the sentient living beings, like the trees and the animals, were both sucked up, shipped to Europe, or worn in coonskin caps.
Redbone is half-breed. But the bones are the only thing that remain.
Don't be shy.
Redbone is a definition for half-breed.
You mean the definition for redbone is half-breed?
Right.
Redbone's the definition for half-breed. Okay, now we'd like to bring up Larry Cohen to stand and Betty Berger and speak their piece. Let me see. Now, we do have a problem here, you dig? We have a problem. And, let me see. We have a problem. We have a problem. See, a long time ago, there was cowboys and Indians, dig? And,